Toronto.
At least 18 people were injured in the crash at Canada's Toronto Pearson International Airport, according to authorities. The Delta Airlines flight with 80 people on board from Minneapolis ended upside down on the runway, and one passenger described hanging like bats inside the aircraft after it crashed. Susie said the crash could have been much worse, drawing a comparison with a 1987 accident in Denver that killed 28 people when a DC-9 aircraft flipped over in similar circumstances. Improved safety and stronger, more secure seats made the biggest difference in the two incidents, the analyst said. Susie also pointed out that in 1987, the wing stayed on the crashed aircraft, destroying it after it had flipped over. In Toronto, however, the wings broke loose by design, and that's a good thing, the analyst said. You don't want that wing ripping the fuselage in half, he said. You want to make sure that it breaks away, as it's supposed to let that aircraft slowly come to a stop, and that really saved a lot of lives. Stiff winds blew over Canada's Toronto Pearson Airport on Monday afternoon as a slim aircraft, cleared by air traffic controllers to land, and its 80 passengers and crew drifted toward the snowy tarmac. But within moments, the Bombardier CRJ-900 had crashed into the runway and overturned, sending fire crews scrambling to extinguish the flames. All on board the Delta flight from Minneapolis survived, but it is still unclear how the aircraft was upended, leaving it belly up with at least 18 people injured, including a child who is reported to be in good condition. Delta Flight 4819 departed Minneapolis/St. Paul International Airport and approached its destination at Toronto Pearson International Airport shortly before 3 p.m. local time. Strong winds had been buffeting Toronto all day, and airport personnel had worked through the night to clear remnants of about 8 inches of snow that blanketed the airport over the weekend. As the plane neared the airport, air traffic controllers notified its pilots of about 38 miles per hour wind gusts. Within 2 minutes, the plane had flipped. Fire erupted as the aircraft tumbled, and the plane slammed into the runway, spitting out a huge fireball and leaving passengers hung aloft in their seats. Fire engines raced onto the tarmac and began spraying thick sheets of white fire retardant over the aircraft's battered fuselage. It's unclear where the fire started, but video shows the plane's fiberglass frame had melted around the engine and thick black streaks stained its side. After the aircraft came to a standstill, we were upside down hanging like bats, passenger Peter Cookoff said. He was able to unbuckle himself and stand upright on the ceiling of the plane, but some people needed help getting down from their seats. Flight attendants helped passengers crawl out of open exit doors, urging people to leave personal belongings behind, though some still exited with bags in tow, video from Cookoff shows. The crash prompted Toronto Pearson International to temporarily shut down all 5 of its runways, causing delays and forcing several flights to divert to nearby airports. The remaining 2 runways where the crash took place will stay closed for several days as investigators analyze the scene. The Bombardier CRJ-900 aircraft that crashed in Toronto on Monday was built to take a hard hit upon landing, enabling the quick evacuation that saved the lives of all 80 people on board, an aviation analyst said. A strong gust of wind hit the Delta Airlines plane as it touched down, causing it to tip over and a wing to tear off, said Peter Goals, aviation analyst and former National Transportation Safety Board managing director. The impact caused a fire that was ignited in fuel cells located in the wing, Goals said, adding that the plane's tail was made to break off in the event of it flipping over. The airplane was designed to take a hit like this, Goals said. Officials said earlier that 18 people were injured in the crash, which left seatbelted passengers suspended from their seats. The analyst also praised the crew's extraordinary response. People think that they're just simply there to provide service, but the bulk of their training is an emergency service response, and this is the test, and they passed it with flying colors, he said. Goals said he believes the investigation into the crash will be swift. The Transport Safety Board of Canada is skilled, he said. They'll turn out a preliminary report in 30 days that I think will go a long way towards pointing to what happened. 18 injured passengers were transported to local hospitals after a Delta Airlines plane crashed while landing at Toronto's Pearson Airport, the airport's fire chief Todd Aitken said during a news conference on Monday. Hours earlier, the Toronto Pearson Airport CEO Deborah Flint said there were 17 injuries after the dramatic crash. Aitken, at his news briefing, appeared to be updating her number, saying that one additional passenger was transported to a hospital. While Airport Fire Chief Todd Aitken said it wasn't appropriate to comment on the investigation into the crash at Toronto Pearson Airport, he did give an update on the conditions of the runway. Authorities are still investigating the crash at Toronto Pearson, the airport's fire chief said during a brief news conference Monday night. The cause of the crash is still under investigation and being led by the Transportation Safety Board. It's not appropriate for us to comment at this time, Airport Fire Chief Todd Aitken said. Neither Aitken nor Wahid Butt, superintendent at Peel Regional Police, who also made a brief statement, took questions from reporters who expressed frustration with shouted questions about the lack of information about the crash. 2 runways at the airport would remain closed while officials investigate the crash, the airport CEO said earlier Monday. A passenger in the Toronto plane crash said, "It's amazing that we're still here," after the plane turned upside down on the runway Monday. John Nelson said he wasn't aware anything was wrong with the plane, calling it a typical flight between Minneapolis/St. Paul and Toronto, but said he did notice gusty winds and a lot of snow on the runway as they approached. "When we hit, it was just a super hard. It hit the ground, and the plane went sideways," Nelson said, adding that he saw a big fireball out of the left side of the plane. Nelson was in row 10 of the aircraft, seated in front of the wing. Once the plane stopped, Nelson said people started yelling to get out. "It was mass chaos," he said. Nelson and his seatmate were hanging upside down when the plane came to a stop. They unbuckled themselves and landed on the ceiling of the aircraft before making a beeline for the door, the air smelling like jet fuel. "We tried to get out of there as quickly as possible," Nelson said. "Even now I smell like jet fuel." 2 runways at Toronto Pearson International Airport will remain closed while officials investigate today's crash, the CEO of the airport said Monday. When the crash happened, the airport immediately halted further arrivals and departures on our remaining 3 runways. Those have since been reopened, as of around 5 p.m. local time, Deborah Flint said. The remaining 2 runways will stay closed while an investigation takes place for the rest of tonight and into the next several days, Flint said. Meanwhile, rooftop snow accumulation has triggered the collapse of Concordia University's inflatable sports structure in Notre Dame de Grace. The combined weight of the 2 snowstorms, on Thursday and Sunday, caused the Stinger Dome to collapse and it then suffered a major tear, making it unusable, University spokesperson Vanina Mestracci told the Gazette. The white structure, located on the Loyola campus between Sherbrooke St. and de Maisonneuve Boulevard, began collapsing on Sunday. Over just 4 days, more than 70 centimeters of snow fell on Montreal. No one was inside the facility at the time, and there were no injuries, Mestracci said. Concordia is still assessing the damage, but the structure cannot be repaired this winter, she said. Despite the urging of police to motorists not to travel, the message fell on deaf ears in some quarters, and officers in Barrie responded to 3 multi-vehicle collisions on Monday afternoon. Around 2:30 p.m., police said 8 vehicles were involved in a collision on Veterans Drive, resulting in a closure between Walker Street and McKay Road. One person was transported to a local hospital. Minutes later, two separated collisions were reported on Yonge Street between Mapleview Drive East and Lockhart Road. Between these two collisions, police said 8 vehicles were involved and 3 people were transported to the hospital. Both locations remained closed for several hours for the police investigation. Thankfully, none of those injured sustained life-threatening injuries, police stated in a news release. The Barrie Police Service is asking motorists to always be aware of the potential for adverse conditions to occur during any significant winter-related weather event. It is also important, should you encounter extreme weather, to reduce your speed, increase the distance between your car and the one you are following, drive according to the weather you are experiencing, and if possible, stay where you are until the weather conditions improve. Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued various weather alerts today, with extreme cold weather, blowing snow and snow squalls expected throughout the day. A period of very cold wind chills is expected in the Niagara, Chatham, London, Brantford, Woodstock and Haldimand County areas today. In Orangeville, Guelph and Caledon areas, Kitchener, Cambridge, Stratford, and Goderich, there is a blowing snow advisory, with near zero visibility expected at times, continuing through tonight. Travel is expected to be hazardous due to reduced visibility, Environment Canada said. Be prepared to adjust your driving with changing road conditions. If visibility is reduced while driving, slow down, watch for tail lights ahead, and be prepared to stop. Further north in parts of Simcoe and Grey County, a snow squall warning or travel advisory is in effect, with additional snowfall amounts of 40 to 70 centimeters of snow falling in some areas. The heaviest snow squall band will continue today through tonight. Areas under this band will receive significant snowfall amounts. In addition, gusty winds combined with freshly fallen snow are producing whiteout conditions in blowing snow. Meanwhile, there will be no collections pickup in Montreal this week after 2 massive snowstorms, just days apart, dumped more than 70 centimeters of snow on the city. The city could be snowed in for about a week, officials say, as snow clearing operations will take up to 8 days to be completed.
You're not gonna clean it.
We're asking everyone to keep your garbage, brown bin, recycling at home and wait for next week, said Philippe Sabourin, a spokesperson for the City of Montreal on Monday.
Barrie has had enough.
He implored Montrealers not to put any garbage bags on the snow as they could freeze and slow down the snow removal process. It's going to be a long process. We need the collaboration of everyone. If there's a no parking sign, move your car, said Sabourin. Please be kind. Help your neighbors, especially the elderly or people with physical limitations. Though most roads have been cleared of snow, he points out that about half of the sidewalks have yet to be cleaned. We have more than 40 centimeters of snow on the ground, he said. Those huge piles of snow will have to be grabbed. We got, in less than 5 days, almost 40% of all the snow we usually get in the winter. Residents are being asked to work from home if they can and limit their travels in the days ahead so snow removal crews can do their jobs. I'm aware that this isn't easy for many people. I want to reassure you. We are doing everything in our power to cope with this exceptional situation, Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante wrote on X. I would also like to thank the employees of the City of Montreal, who have been working for several days to ensure the safety of all Montrealers. North of Montreal, snow removal operations could take up to 10 days, with the city of Laval saying nearly 80 centimeters of snow fell in 4 days. About 650 employees are working to clear the more than 4,735 kilometers of roads. Drivers are being asked to follow street parking signage and park on the correct side of the street. Waterloo Region is dealing with a winter storm hangover on Tuesday, as plow crews continue to clear off roadways and sidewalks following a monster winter storm system over Family Day weekend.
Yes, it is.
Up to 26 centimeters of snow fell on the region from Saturday through to Monday, adding to the mound of snow piled up on Wednesday and Thursday last week. The snow depth is now at 51 centimeters in many areas, said 570's meteorologist Jill Taylor. As fast as the snow plows have been trying to shovel and the residents have been shoveling the sidewalks, the snow is filling back in. Crews are continuing to remove and plow snow from all cities in and around the region on Tuesday. The Cambridge City staff said teams are focusing on the core areas, bridges, and sidewalks without boulevards. Some areas, like cul-de-sacs, have limited access due to the large snowbanks. They warn people should be careful pulling out of driveways due to the snow obstructing views. Potholes are also forming because of the weather, staff said. All available crews and equipment remain deployed to deal with the snow and address pothole conditions. A similar around-the-clock sentiment is happening in Waterloo. Staff from that city say the volume of snow has created challenges. Teams are now shifting focus away from plowing to instead loading/hauling the snow away from all impacted areas. Kitchener teams are also focusing on critical infrastructure such as the city's LRT, main roads, and bus routes. Crews are prioritizing widening the streets that have narrowed due to the large snowbanks. Snow loading is a substantial operation that requires up to 30 pieces of equipment per crew and will remove up to 400 triaxle dump truckloads of snow from our right-of-ways per day, staff said. Snow events in Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge have been extended, meaning there is no on-street parking anywhere in the three cities without exemptions. Ontario Provincial Police are out on the roadways, offering warnings for drivers as they continue to contend with a wintry commute. Back roadways may seem to be clear, but roadways can still be slick and icy, said Sergeant Ed Sanchuk of the Ontario Provincial Police. We're asking everybody to please slow down, get to where you're going safely, but more importantly, have a great day and get home safely to your family. One squall off Lake Huron will target southern Grey Bruce, with periods of intense snowfall throughout the day. Thundersnow is even a possibility in this area. Another squall will develop off the southeast shoreline of Georgian Bay, impacting parts of southern Simcoe County, including Wasaga Beach, Barrie,
Crazy
Angus,
winter.
Innisfil, and Keswick.
Winter 2025.
These squalls will persist into the afternoon, shifting at times. The northern squall could push into Wyerton, extend across Georgian Bay, and come onshore near Barrie. The Georgian Bay squall may weaken somewhat after midnight, but could persist into Tuesday. All snow squall activity should fizzle out by early Wednesday morning. Localized amounts near 100 centimeters are possible in Grey Bruce, with hotspots likely near Port Elgin, Hanover, Chatsworth, and Flesherton. Not everyone in this zone will see these totals, but some areas will get buried.
Nope. Turn around.
Well, good solid effort.